start in a second. I guess we're live now. All right. Can you guys hear us? Press F if we're. No, just kidding. All right. So apparently we're live. You guys can say hi. You guys know me already, probably. And you've definitely heard of the bud that I'm talking to. His name is Shenanigansen online. But if you want to say hi, Shenanigansen, you can introduce yourself properly.
Hey guys, it's me, Shenanigansen, otherwise known as Shen. And I make like Blue Chair and Live with Yourself on Webtoon, and I used to make what was called Altered Comics. Now I'm going by Shen Comics, because a bunch of people have taken my Altered accounts.
Taken, like stolen the names?
No, I'm just kind of goofing there. It's just when I left them, like some of them, I sort of left them behind as a proxy,
Okay.
right? But some of them, I was just like, screw it, like I don't need that handle, right? So,
Okay. And you recently published one of your books under your full name.
yeah, under my full name, Andrew Sayast, and I published a book called Emotions Explained with Buff Dudes.
All right. And everyone knows about the buff dudes, I'm sure. Like they all recognize you. It's good that they know about your work. But yeah, I was at the Amazon bookstore at my local mall, and I always, look at the comic section and stuff, and I saw your book, and I'm like, oh man, he's I don't know the details. You were published, right? It wasn't a self-published thing.
Yeah, it was published by Andrews McMeel, the same people that published like Sarah Anderson and they did Garfield and Calvin and Hobbes and all those people, Dilbert, all those people.
Oh, okay. So everybody here, if you're familiar with Sarah Anderson, also everybody that's been doing web comics, I guess, and maybe under Webtoon and stuff like that. I don't know if she does. Yeah. Everybody sort of has met each other now and then. We're very chill and friendly. I've been always too shy to say hi to people, but I was fortunate enough that Andrew got in touch with me and just said hi and let's meet sometime. And I thought it'd be fun to tell the story of how we actually got to know each other.
Yeah, I think I reached out to you. Well, you had been like one of the most impressive artists online to me. Like when I looked at your work, I was just like, damn, because it was kind of above and beyond for anything that I'd seen on the web, like as a web format at the
Yeah.
time, right? Um, like maybe Tracy Butler is around that same area, right? Do you know her and her work?
I'm afraid I don't. I should
Oh,
know.
Lackadaisy Cat.
I think I know that name.
It's really good. It's about this like prohibition era world in which everybody's cats, but it's not like that's like a small element of the story. But yeah, everybody's cats, and it's just like this noir about the prohibition era that's got a
All
little
right.
bit of like comedy in it.
Jeez, so I got to look that up. But I was immensely like, because you had already made massive splashes. Like everyone knew who you were, especially through Reddit and stuff.
Hell yeah.
So when you got in touch with me, I was like, whoa, 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 what's going on? Because I was a nobody, I thought. And so basically, like there was this beautiful, like, I can't believe he's talking to me. This is so much fun. And I don't remember the exact order, but Small Press Expo, maybe 3 years ago, 4 years ago,
Uh-huh.
was going to be a thing. And I think I was exhibiting,
Yes.
and you and a buddy were coming down my direction, and you said that you wanted to go to SPX. So if yeah, it's kind of this con takes place around the DC area. And so Andrew basically drove by my house, picked me up. We had lunch, we had pizza, we met each
Yeah.
other, and then I was like, all right, let's go on a road trip.
That was like a good pizza place too. Like I still remember that.
That's right. It was, I don't know if they're still open, but that's some
Oh
New
man,
Jersey pizza for you people. If you're ever in the New Jersey area near New York, so that's a good slice.
it would be a massive bummer if they were closed. But yeah, we went down and we like hung out a little bit. In that town, and then we went down to Bethesda where SPX takes place. And I think you were exhibiting, but I actually wasn't. I've never exhibited there, right?
Okay. Yeah, I had a table and you and your buddy were just walking the floor basically. I don't know if anyone
Yeah.
knew you. Like they would know your name if you introduced yourself.
Yes.
But did you know anybody or were you just going there and networking that year?
I wasn't even networking. I just really, I just really like comics.
Just chill. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just sort of doing a little comics crawl.
Okay.
And yeah, I think I had a pretty good haul that year in terms of like indie. I think that might have been the year that I picked up Fante Bukowski, and like
Hmm.
I love that stuff. Uh, yeah, that was a fun year. Um, and you were there again this past SPX, right? We were
Yeah,
both
this past one I was exhibiting again with my buddy. He was helping me at my table and we ran into each other, but unfortunately the timing wasn't good because I was not in the hotel. So I
there.
had to leave often. And when you go to these cons, really, you want to be at the hotel because everyone hangs out there at night.
Right.
So I really, I'm sad that we didn't get the chance to hang this year, but that's one of the most fun things. Is always after the con, everyone hangs out and like has dinner and stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is. I was actually at a different hotel too. I was like at, it was the same brand of
Uh,
hotel. Is it a Marriott? What is it there
yeah,
that
it's Marriott.
yeah, it was another Marriott, and it was like 1.5 miles away, and I think it was more geared towards business and stuff. A
Okay.
little cheaper too, incidentally. But basically that hotel was all booked out. I went to the other Marriott instead, and I would take like either a lift or a bus. Um,
And you were signing books that uh,
yeah,
this past year?
there was a whole controversy about about that involved well, not me specifically being there, right? But it involved like Comixology being there. Did you hear about this?
Comixology. They got hooked up with Amazon.
Yes, and then this online publication called the Comics Journal wrote like an article in which they featured. Okay, would you know what I'm talking about if I said Wagey Cage?
No.
Wagey Cage is kind of this like 4chan ish meme about like Amazon workers like in the factories being put into this little cage where they like operate this crane arm, and that's how they do their work. And basically, they're not allowed to leave what it has been dubbed the wagey cage.
Okay.
Yeah, but but the Comics Journal put a picture of the wagey cage in there because like of the design document for it because it was a very like it was a very like Amazon thing, and they're just like, this is what's infiltrating uh indie comics. You're gonna be making comics from the wagey cage from now on. Um
And
and yeah, sorry, what's
no,
up?
Comixology didn't like that, I'm sure.
Well, see, the thing is, Comixology, like, I think, yeah, it is associated with Amazon. I think Amazon bought it like a few years ago.
Okay.
But Comixology is kind of like it's been a staple of SPX since like years even after Amazon bought it, and it kind of does its own thing. So people were kind of saying that they were gonna try to bring this like print on demand thing, right,
Mhm.
and try to put like indie printers out of business, like self-publication out of business.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I talked to the people. I talked to like my contacts there, and they said that they were planning to do no such thing, and they didn't end up doing any such thing. Like I didn't see a single advertisement of it. So I don't know. I think it might have been just a rumor.
Jeez. It seems that I don't know. There's always a lot of unnecessary drama with these, especially when money's involved. People kind of step on each other's toes. And what I always loved about indie comics, or what indie comics I thought it was supposed to be, is just it's just people who print their own stuff, get a table, and it's like, hey, buy this or
Uh-huh.
don't. You know, I don't know. But I remember you were signing a book where that had a collection with your stuff in it, right?
Yeah, yeah, I was signing a book. It wasn't just my stuff.
Okay.
It was a lot of people's stuff. Like Casey Green was in there, Alex Norris was in there, Dami Lee was in there. And the premise of the book, it's called Hit Reblog. And the premise of it was like comics that went like extremely viral,
Uh-huh.
right? Um and they had like a little interview. Well, like semi, not really interview. They had like a little bit about the comic, a few examples of the artist's work, the comic that went super viral, and then they had a comic that's kind of like the origin story
Okay.
of that comic, right? Um, which wasn't drawn by the artist. It was drawn by the artist who was hired for the book, and she, by the way, is like amazing.
Mhm.
Um, but so for me, they pinged me because of the bike cut comic, right?
Okay.
That was like the big thing that they wanted me for, and I was just like, hell yeah, I'll do this,
Mhm.
and that's why I was there at SPX signing.
I see. I did want to ask about not specifically that one, but the notoriety that comes with it. We could jump into that now, but also I have other questions. Let's see. I mean, I don't want to interrupt you. If you wanted to talk about it, please feel free.
Oh no, I mean that's. I mean, I was just talking about it like to the extent that it's related to the Amazon thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You had some big Reddit stuff happen with you.
It was a huge, huge spike, but I don't think it was half as bad as what happened to you, which is one of the reasons I was really looking forward to talking to you. I wanted to sort of compare our stories and see sort of what happened and why, and what's going to happen with webcomics in general. Because obviously, for me, it was like I got a lot of followers, let's say, because of it, but it was really like emotionally draining.
Oh
Was
yeah.
that your experience?
Well,
Because it wasn't just the one comic, they were
y-
after you for a long time.
yeah, yeah. Well, to be honest, it probably wasn't even the most emotionally draining thing. I feel like I was kind of like in a bad headspace at the time, so that might have like affected it a bit.
Okay.
But somehow it fixed something in a very gradual way. Because that happened like way at the end of 2017, right?
Uh, well, I knew that
Sometime
there
back.
was a gradual, like Reddit was getting on your case about kind of they were able to predict your jokes, and that meant that
Hell
they
yeah.
were sick of you or something.
Yeah.
So all this hashtag relatable stuff is when I started noticing like they're starting to get a little sassy.
Yeah.
But then they started to seem like, oh, he's just posting the same comic over and over. It's like, bro, do you understand how comics work?
Yeah.
But then I guess the flashpoint was the bike comic, but they, as far as I know, were already kind of hostile towards you. I don't know if you were getting a lot of downvotes and stuff.
Oh no. No, not on Reddit. I don't think anybody on Reddit really dislikes me because by the time that the bike cuck thing happened, I kind of quote unquote left Reddit. Like not really left, right? But I wasn't posting comics as frequently in general because I was just hella depressed for various reasons. Not after the bike cuck thing, but before it, I was
Okay.
hella depressed. Yeah.
A lot of things
Um.
happened at the same time, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of stuff happened at the same time. Like 2017, probably one of the worst years of my life. I don't want to say the worst because I might put my foot on my mouth there, but
Jeez.
but 2017, it was a big bummer. It was a
Is
bummer, dude.
Do you want to tell anybody why? I mean, I can guess a couple of things.
Um,
We didn't have to
uh,
talk about it.
uh, it was it was a lot of like friend and family related things,
Okay.
right? It seems like some of it seems a little bit too personal to talk about, but the
Don't worry
stuff
about
that's
it.
a little too personal is
Okay.
also kind of the stuff that affected me most, you know?
All right. So it was an unfortunate coincidence that they were giving you a hard time with work as well as all the other stuff. Because a lot of the things that they were saying, they thought, I guess a lot of people online, it's common, right? You just see
Yeah.
comics and you don't realize these are people with lives outside of their comics. And the joke of like, are you okay? And
Yeah.
it's not.
To be honest, if I had to choose between "Are you okay?" and the bike cuck thing, I'd choose the bike cuck thing. I think I don't like the "Are you okay?"
I'm sorry, man.
because I no no I'm not trying to be self-pitying here. I just feel like it's how do I even put this? I feel like the "Are you okay?" thing is a little bit condescending towards mental health issues,
Yeah,
right? And my comics, like I try to make them like I know they're a little bit downbeat, but they're not actually about mental health. Like there are actual web comics about mental health out there, right? And
yeah,
the "Are you okay?" thing, I don't know. It's just it's annoying, and it's substantially less funny, I think.
I
Um,
understand.
but at the same time, I don't really mind it either. Like people can do what they want.
Well, part of the things that really have been bothering me, it's internet culture in general. They don't understand that, let's say creators, I'm not going to assume like I'm a great creator or anything, but like if a creator is going through a hard time and they just want to put out something to make people happy, just something career wise, it's nothing. I call it like a death by a thousand cuts. If too many people say the same thing over and over, and it's like, please, this is not, this is a little irritating. For me, it was like people saying that, like on when I had my Reddit
Mhm,
thing,
mhm.
they were coming after me because I was reaching out for help because I didn't know anybody online. And I was saying,
Yeah,
look, all of Reddit seems to be coming down on me and I don't know what to do. And they're asking me all these questions like, why are you asking for help? Look, he's on the ropes. Like we got him. We caught him. So what happened to me was a huge misunderstanding in that they basically saw that I was very popular all of a sudden. Nobody knew who I was apparently. And then they start doing these purity checks on me and they're like, oh, he's alt-right and he's X, Y, and Z. And it's like, none of these are true. Can I please defend myself? And they didn't let me. And it just made me want to stop posting. I didn't want
yeah,
to be on Reddit anymore.
yeah, yeah. Those like some of those you know what I think it is? Like people will just decide that they dislike somebody, and then they think that any sort of accusation becomes fair game just
Yeah.
because they dislike them. You know?
They won't give somebody the benefit of the doubt. Like even
Right.
if I tried everything I could think of to explain, like, no, I'm not all the things you're saying about me. Please just let me explain myself. They wouldn't let me. So I
Yeah.
tried reviving my YouTube channel. I tried going on Twitter. I started tweeting at everybody I could think of.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I thought my career was over because a lot of like Reddit has been up and down for me in terms of posting. But
Yeah.
if you can't post on Reddit, that's a huge strike against you in terms of promotion. And I thought that was it. I was thinking about changing careers, that sort of thing, because my
Ye-
reputation had been tarred. But I was lucky enough that I got through to some people on Twitter, and then they invited me to come and talk about the story. I'm like, finally, I get to at least talk about it. Were you able to, since all your funny business with, whatever happened, have you been able to get your bearings back, your equilibrium? Are you just not engaging with the community as much anymore? How are you able to uh, keep your focus creatively?
I'm actually I'm doing fine now.
Okay.
But you know, it wasn't like it was almost like nothing that happened on the internet really had that much bearing on any of this stuff. But
Mhm.
basically 2017 got me really down overall as a year, right? And then 2018 was kind of like a slow recovery.
Okay.
Um, and now I think I'm doing all right. Like I've got energy back. You know, I'm getting ahead on like the webtoon stuff. Brought back Blue Chair and Live with Yourself, so that's a plus.
Mhm.
Um, I don't know. Maybe I should have gone on some podcast or some streams or something at the time. I feel like that would have been funny, but I wasn't really like it didn't even come to mind because of just like the state that I was in. You know?
I understand. Yeah, I've been through, long periods of just being like my head's in the clouds. I can't really get a thought together. Creatively, I would just stop working. But
Yeah, and that's like a cycle, right? It sucks.
yeah, it feeds itself. You're upset, like maybe you play too many games because you don't really feel like doing anything else. Like for me, that's what I lean on. If I'm upset, I'll just play Overwatch or something, which only pisses me off more for different reasons.
Yeah, oh my god, Overwatch, like there will be a day once in a blue moon where I don't get tilted by that game. But like every other day, oh my fucking god.
You don't play ranked, right?
No, I don't even play ranked. I only play quick play. Do you play ranked?
I play ranked.
Oh, damn, dude.
Listen, I've been playing the game for almost 1,000 hours. I'm still trapped in silver. Do you if anyone understands, you cannot get out of silver. It's impossible.
Is it just like shitty teammates? Like to the
Yeah,
point
there's
where bad
I,
communication?
anyone doesn't know it's a six on six game, right? If
Yep.
one of your teammates is not playing optimally,
Yep.
your whole team will lose. There's no way
Yes.
to recover from it.
Yes.
So if you're playing, what do they call it when you solo queue? Yeah, if you solo queue into or into ranked, you can get matched with anybody. So if too many people want to play DPS, you're screwed.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel that. There was this concept of ELO hell back in the league times.
Yes.
Well, I guess it's still sort of the league times, but less so, I guess. Right? And I can totally feel that.
Who do you main these days?
Oh shit, I haven't played like the current event at all. I like playing Moira.
Okay.
Like a Moira for me. Have you seen that like Overwatch meme of? Oh shit, do you know do you know the meme? This is like some famous comedian, but it's like that comedian like shooting a guy in a I think he shoots Hannibal Buress in a chair, and then he's like it's that meme, but it's Moira like shooting her ball at a team without any shields, and she's like, "Why do I have gold kills?" Like that's me when I play Moira. What about you? Who's your person?
I'm ashamed to say I'm actually a Sombra main. Sombra. If anyone doesn't know, she is categorized as a damage character, but she doesn't do a lot of damage. She's actually, I think, should be categorized as a support. She's a debuffer.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of, especially at lower elos, people don't understand what she's supposed to do. So I can't play her, or if I do, I just leave party chat because they don't. They think, oh, why aren't you doing damage? Why don't you play as somebody that can do real DPS? But what she's supposed to do is turn off everyone's abilities at the right time, leaving your whole team to steamroll the other team.
Yeah. Why are you ashamed to say that? Isn't she like a really high skill?
She's, I think, the highest skill character in the whole game.
Well, aside from Doomfist, obviously.
Doomfist is super high as well. If you don't play him well, you're toast.
Yeah.
You have to get kills or you're going to get eliminated.
Do people play Doomfist in ranked, or are they just like scared?
They do, and actually he's on the I think he's on the upper tiers these days. He's really good at shredding the back line of the enemy team. Like taking out the supports and then getting out.
Did they nerf his like E? Didn't they make it like less range? I was upset.
They did change his stuff. I'll have to look into it. His downward slam has been changed, but not noticeably. I think he's still very viable actually, but a lot of people don't know how to play him. I see too many Genjis still. It's upsetting. Like a lot of kids want those big plays, but it's like, who am I to say?
You're not Seagull. Stop.
I know. They just want those like 6 kill plays.
Yeah.
Let's see. Somebody has a question. Questions. I'll Darkery, if you're there, feel free. Let's see. There's a lot to talk about with Overwatch, but
yeah. Welcome to the Overwatch podcast with Andrew and George.
Yeah, forget about webcomics. Let's talk about Overwatch, which nobody talks about.
Everybody's about that Apex Legends shit right now. You played that?
No.
I kind of like, if you're into battle royales, I do recommend it.
Battle royales. No, I tried. I got banned from Overwatch for a little bit for abusive chat.
What did you do, dude?
Because I'd be telling all these punks, like, why are you doing this, blah, 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 and I'd be cursing at people. I've since just stopped talking.
Fair enough.
All right. Somebody, let's see. Darkry asks, "What's your opinion on Shadman? Is that? Do you know what that is?"
Shadman?
Yeah.
Um, Shadman. I don't really like. I don't know if I have any strong opinions on Shadman. I've just kind of seen him from like the early Newgrounds days, right? And he's always been this like uh weird adjacent artist, I
Mhm.
guess. I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't have any strong opinions on him. I just don't know enough about him.
Okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't recognize the name. Gus Tyler Bush asks, "What are some of your influences?"
Um I really like web comics like Womp. If you know by Ronnie Filia, I really like that one.
Hmm.
Obviously I like Sarah Anderson's work. We started at the same time about um yeah, stuff like that. Anime,
Okay.
Nintendo.
Well, I was one thing I could tell everybody is I was very surprised by how much you love comics and manga and anime, and you watch so much, and your knowledge is so broad. Like I used to
This
be
is
really. Hmm?
dude, this is like the nicest possible way of calling me a neat.
No,
Because
no, 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 no.
it's
You,
what I am, George. Let's
it's like a football player who
yes.
watches a lot of football. There's nothing wrong with it.
I have a passion for anime.
Yes, he does. I think part of the reason why your comics are so good is because you consume, like, you love this medium, these mediums. Like a lot of, for instance, the firefighter who had to put out the sun. Like
Yeah.
that is a perfect Shonen Jump story condensed into a webcomic. It was so funny.
Oh, thanks, dude. I appreciate it.
I loved it, but a lot of your longer storylines seem to be like almost in the sense of like how One Punch Man was a deconstruction of the hero story.
Yes.
It's your stuff isn't to the length of One Punch Man, but I think it has the same DNA, maybe told over a fewer overall strips. But
You,
I think it's of that on that level.
yeah, yes, yeah. I definitely did like a huge deconstruction of my comics in general in early 2018 with that like um Fly to the Heavens on a Bicycle Made of Stars comic.
Mhm.
That was like a big thing. But right now I'm diving a little bit into horror, which
Okay.
is a genre that I'm interested in, and it's that's I don't know enough about it obviously to deconstruct it, so I'm just sort of attempting it.
Mhm.
So I don't know. You'll see me floundering around in that for a while. That's gonna be fun. I
Yeah,
mean,
so
you
go
do
on.
a lot like you do like comedy with you're calling it problematic, right? No?
Yeah, I changed the name too.
Yeah. Bite size was a cute name, but okay, I like
Yeah.
problematic too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you do a lot of like longer form stuff, which is more I don't even know what to call the like I guess Paris would be like romance, right?
Yeah,
But
probably.
yeah, but a lot of the other stuff, like what's that early comic you did that had sort of fighting games as a centerpiece? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Fighting games. Artist block?
Yes, yes, that's the one. That's like one of your earlier ones on your website, right? That's kind of like long form slice of life, I guess.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you do like an exploration of genres too, right? You can
I think
understand
so,
it.
yeah. If you've consumed enough of the stuff that you love, you want to try to make your own hybrid, I suppose. I
Oh
don't
yeah.
know if that means, if most people would get the jokes, but it's, I don't know. I can only speak for your stuff in this case, but I found your stuff endlessly entertaining. I'm sure, hundreds of thousands of people agree. And this, oh, sorry, I got distracted. Sand Slasher said, I
Uh,
changed the name of Bite Size to Gay Size for a little while. You know why? Some people were giving me a hard time because one of the characters is a woman, obviously,
yeah.
and they said, "Oh, this represents all women." And so I said, as penance, I'm going to make all my characters drag queens, and there are no more women in my comics anymore. So as a joke, I called it Gay Size. I changed the name on Webtoon for a little while, and I don't know if anyone actually believed that I did that, but I like playing jokes on the audience, but sometimes it backfires.
Yeah.
Let's see. There was another question. What is your favorite anime?
Is this for me?
Yes.
Um, I really like a lot of like the Trigger stuff personally.
Trigger.
I really like Cowboy Bebop too.
Oh yeah.
But like Gurren Lagann, Kill la Kill,
Mhm.
even Space Patrol Luluco. I'll even do that. Well, this is I don't know if this is Trigger. I know this is Gainax, but Little Witch Academia, Pantheon Stalking, like that type of like highly energetic anime. You know?
Okay. So
Yeah.
action-ish.
Yeah,
All right.
action-ish, like heartwarming. What about you? What do you like in terms of that stuff?
What have I watched recently? I started watching Who Did One Punch Man, but it's his other
Oh,
Mob
Mob
Psycho
Psycho.
100.
Yeah,
I didn't manage to finish it, but it was okay. I liked that one. I finished One Punch Man. What other anime have I watched? Not a lot of anime actually. I like short series where I can like I tried watching some of Hunter x Hunter a little bit, but it was way too long.
yeah,
Um
yeah.
Jeez.
I'm not even attempting One Piece. Like, holy
No,
shit.
that's I wish I could enjoy like everyone talks it up so much, but it's impossible to get into it unless you're a kid, basically.
Yeah.
They're just how many volumes is it now? Like I wouldn't even guess. It's longer than Dragon Ball, right?
Yeah. I think it's like way longer, like by at least two times. Well, there are. What is a tankobon volume? Do you know this term?
Yeah, that's the what you would see at Barnes and Noble.
Okay, there are 91 tankobon volumes and
Jeez.
930 chapters.
Wow. So each tankobon would be about 180 pages average. So
Yeah,
times 91. That's
yeah.
insane.
It's a lot of, and I think the anime has a wild number of episodes, right? In the
Yeah,
hundreds.
I think
Yeah,
so. There's a guy, Super Eye Patch Wolf, on YouTube. Have you heard of him?
yeah,
He's talked about it so highly. He praises it so much. It's like I love his channel because I get the lowdown on what's good, like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure and stuff, which I really want to watch, but I wish I had more time for it. Um,
uh,
but yeah, he recommended One Piece, and I really wanted to watch it, but I just don't have the time. Like, I think everyone has one Dragon Ball in their life, one Naruto, or one One Piece, and that's it. You can't watch all of them
right.
unless.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
that's gonna be like My Hero Academia for like this generation. You know,
I hear that's good.
it is.
I have to have that on my list, but man,
It is.
that's Shonen Jump, right?
Uh, yeah. Well, I'm talking about the anime here.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I think the manga's got to be Shonen Jump, right? What else could it be?
I think I heard that it was.
Right.
But that goes to show, like I think especially with web comics, there's a lot of crossover with love for manga and anime. That there's people in the comics industry. I won't say the name, but they love American comics, but they're not as familiar with manga and gaming. Which it's interesting if you try to look at the Venn diagram of what everyone's hobbies are and interests.
Yeah.
Like the webtoon people have their foot in almost every industry, American, Japanese, comics, anime. It's like what I really would love is for everyone to get to know each other better. Um, but I think we're in an interesting position because our stuff has been online for so long and so many different people have seen it.
Right.
And our stuff has sort of grown up on the internet, whereas comics proper was in print and comic book shops. So maybe we have an advantage that we can try to. Oh, I don't know. I don't know
Right.
what I'm trying to say. I just think it's interesting that web comics people were like born on the internet.
Yeah. And this isn't like I would consider the webcomic generation that I'm a part of, the third generation of webcomics. Like, it's not even the first, because this shit has been around since like 1995 or something wild like that. You know,
Okay.
pretty much as soon as the internet came about, like people thought to put comics on it. You know, so
Let's
yeah,
talk about that if you're interested. You
yeah.
say the third generation. So second would have, or what's first and second?
I would say the first is like the old and deep mofo's. Like you got like Randall Munro, XKCD. You know, you got Gabe and Tycho, right?
Okay. Penny Arcade, if anyone
Penny
doesn't know.
Arcade, yeah.
Mega
Whether
Tokyo.
Mega Tokyo, yeah, Mega Tokyo.
Yeah.
Control Alt Delete, whether or not you
Yes.
like it, it's in there. You
Yeah.
know, it's in there. And then
Yeah.
I would call the second generation like well, Casey Green's been around for a while, but Casey Green is definitely in there. And I don't know, Jeff Jocks.
Hark a
Uh,
Vagrant.
yeah, Harka Vagrant. That's like
American Elf.
yes, exactly. You see, you have a good sense of what like the second generation is, and then the
Okay.
third generation is like a lot of them came out around like 2013, 2014. So it's
Mhm.
like me,
Sarah.
Sarah Anderson, Alex Norris, Lovenstein, right? Dr. Lovenstein, um,
Uh,
Cucumber Quest, Poppy Opossum.
okay. And
I don't know when. I think Womp was 2010 or maybe even earlier. So I would call Womp maybe um second generation, but I just really like it. So
hmm. I would also add Abby Howard, who we're both fans of.
oh hell yeah,
She
hell
was
yeah,
on Penny Arcade TV's series called Strip Search, which, if
yes.
anyone listening likes webcomics, you have to look up Strip Search. It's so fun.
Hmm.
I wish they did a second series.
Abby Howard, she's working on like a horror book with
Mhm.
a publisher right now. And I'm so excited for that. Have you seen you've seen the way she draws like creatures and stuff,
She's
right?
really talented. Yeah. Black and white ink.
Yeah.
Is that what got you into wanting to do a horror of your own?
Um, well, no, well, I've always been a fan of horror, but it's kind of like the same reason why I like Abby Howard's work is the reason why I want to do
Mhm.
horror. You
I mean,
know?
Junji Ito also is, I'm sure, you know,
Yes.
the classic. Because
Yeah.
of your recommendation, I actually read, what was the one with where they go into the wall and it's shaped like them?
I keep.
I,
I was about to say Akihabara fault. What?
that's getting stuck in a different place.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I know exactly what you're
The
talking
the
about.
enigma of something fault,
Yeah.
of Ahagara fault,
That one
Ahigara fault.
scares the
Yeah,
crap out of me. I
yeah.
loved it.
It's so like conceptually good, right? The
Yeah.
concept just buries itself in your mind and it doesn't leave.
You wouldn't think that it would be so scary. I find at first when I start reading his stuff, it's like a little cheesy, but
Yep.
at the end, I'm like, I'm actually scared of, like, I want to put down the tablet or whatever I'm reading it on.
Yeah.
I can't, like, it's stuck in my head and I can't sleep properly because I'm thinking about it.
Oh, it's so good.
He's
Um,
so talented. Oh,
they,
oh, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say they publish these like chunky volumes of his work. Some of them like short story compilations, right? But others will be like all of Uzumaki in like a big volume, right?
Yes.
So I've been picking those up, and I like to just read those at night. It's a good
At
time.
night.
Yeah, but what were you gonna say?
Oh no. That's funny that you read it at night.
Oh yeah,
I wanted to ask if you've heard of a series on YouTube called Man Ben.
Manga. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that had a Junji Ito episode, right?
they did. Yes, so you've seen it.
Yeah, where he was like working on that one panel
Yeah,
with the onion lady, the layer lady.
that was so disturbing.
Oh, that's like one of my favorite maybe visuals from him, you
Isn't
know?
it so? I guess I don't know if other people agree, but as an artist, watching other artists work is so. What's the word that I want to use? It's mouth-watering. Like, I just want to look at the pen, like an inch from the pen. Why did you
Yeah.
make that line? Oh man, look what he did.
Yeah, it is. It's like it's very captivating. I'm very into it.
Man, yeah, I gotta really devour that series if I can. But if anyone's never heard of it, Man Ben, if you look up Junji Ito, who's the guy that did 20th Century Boys? What's his name? Anyway, 20th Century Boys, he did Monster. He's the host. But he goes around all of Japan interviewing all these different manga artists and just basically watching them work. And he interviews them too. But it's really like, if you love comics and manga, it's just straight up like, it's ecstasy watching it for me. Like, I love it.
Yeah, and he's like a funny guy himself, like the
Yeah.
host. Yeah.
And I remember a story with him that he worked so hard. Like, you hear this with a lot of manga artists. He worked so hard that he gave himself carpal tunnel syndrome
Mm.
and back problems and that sort of thing.
Oh.
It's something you hear about a lot in Japan, actually.
Yeah, yeah, they have it's not even just manga, it's in general like the work culture there is pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
But manga especially because in manga it's like your income is directly tied to your output, right?
Yeah.
There was this have you ever heard of Usagi drop?
I think so.
It's like some like kid, some girl is alienated from her family, and then a salary man kind of takes her in that's like tangentially connected to the family and learns the joys of parenting.
Mhm.
And I think one of the characters in that is a mangaka, and she's always just like, "Oh, I gotta work. The solution is just I gotta work more," you know. So
Yeah, they like that. Well, they have a certain work ethic. I think it's like 6 days a week, 10, 12 hours a day, something like that.
yeah.
What kind of work schedule are you doing right now? Like, production wise, are you in the middle of a project, or what's your
Um,
regular work day like?
Right now, I'm just trying to get ahead on stuff. I'm trying to do I'm trying to keep a pretty normal schedule, like 8, 9, maybe at most hours a day, and then 6 days a week. Except maybe sometimes on one of the days, like on the Sunday, I'll take a half day. What about you? What are you up to? I know you've got a lot of stuff on your plate.
Yeah, well, when I was in full production mode, let's say, I would try to do one strip a day.
Yep.
Um, and usually a strip only takes 4 hours, maybe 6 hours if it's really complicated.
Hmm.
But I try to pace myself like that. But now I'm actually I'm doing a thing with like a lot of people on Twitter, and this certain movement are involved with Indiegogo, and they're having an Indiegogo thing, like funding their projects. So
Hmm.
this past 2 months ish, but definitely this month, I've been basically doing as many interviews as possible and making as many topical comics as I can to
Yeah.
kind of just get my name out there as broadly as possible to see if people want to. I'm basically taking Problematic, which used to be Bite Size, and
Yep.
collecting all of the black and white strips into a single volume.
Yep.
And right, of course, you already know this. I forgot. Yeah, it's so that's what I've been doing now, promotion, and then after that, I don't know. I think I'll continue the strip, but I also want to look into. I have all these scripts for graphic novels that I don't think I have time to draw, but I would like to turn them into scripts that are illustrated. And I
Um.
also want to try to play with this YouTube channel some more. I don't think there's a lot of comic artist interviews out there, and I want to see if that can be a thing. Like, we're
I
pretty
think we could.
introverted people, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but I feel like we can talk to each other fine, right?
Yeah, I know, absolutely. Like, we know each other. I think a lot of comic artists maybe are on the shy side, or they don't want to embarrass them. I don't know. I'm just assuming. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think YouTube's such a good tool, and people would benefit really from getting to know us. Like, just like, I don't know. There's a gap between a person who works on comics, and the actual work itself. And I think if the people just like see we're normal people, we're human, maybe they'll treat us a little better. I don't know. That's been on my heart lately. I don't think people are very nice online, and I would like for people to start like listening to us talk as people. It's like, please just chill. We're just people. It's really stressful to do this job, actually. I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's like the rawest deal. Like I think people like YouTubers and stuff that that actually have more of a face can get it a little raw.
Oh yeah.
But it can get pretty rough sometimes. Like on Tumblr, they have a fucking field day on Tumblr. With webcomics specifically, right? They don't like bug YouTubers or podcasters or any other type of content creator, but webcomics, oh my god.
What do they
Um,
do? Should
well,
I
they
ask?
they what they'll usually do is they usually start like there's this pattern that I noticed emerges, right? Is they'll usually start kind of making fun of some artist, right? But then they have to justify it somehow, right? Since it's Tumblr and every roasting has to be like a social justice issue,
They
right?
deserve
Yeah. So after the fact, after like it has already started, they'll go out and find something problematic from like 9 years ago. I think they did that with Erica Moen. They did it with like Adam Ellis, right?
What?
They have oh, they totally did it with Adam Ellis. They have like very much a flavor of the week, like hour of hate type of situation, type of situation with webcomic artists, and
But
it's
aren't
just
they like the most patient zero, like perfect allies of Tumblr?
like Adam Ellis,
Maybe not Adam Ellis. I don't know him very well. Although he lit me up
Erica
on
Moen.
Twitter real bad.
I mean, Erica Moen, basically what they found about her, right, is there was this comic that she made about trans men, right, in like 2009, um, in which she said she finds the concept of trans men like fascinating, right?
Okay.
But it was a little bit, it was I guess in a little bit of a condescending way, right, in a little bit of a more jokey way than they would have preferred.
Mhm.
And she made an apology about it in 2013, right? And then no, even earlier, I think to like 2012, she made an apology about it, right? And then in like 2017, Tumblr. Do you know the Cuck comic? Do you know what I'm talking about?
From her,
Yeah.
I did read it. Yes.
Yes, yeah. Tumblr basically started roasting the shit out of that, right? But then they were just like, wait a minute, guys, wait a minute, wait, hold up. We're not like 4chan. We got to justify this somehow, right? And then they dug up the 10 year, the decade old like thing which she had apologized for like more than half a decade ago, and used that as justification.
Maire,
And yeah, that's kind of the modus operandi, you know?
they love a good witch hunt, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like I don't even not see it, right? It's not like I don't see the entertainment value in something like that. Like it's just drama, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know it's kind of shitty. So I don't know. Like I see why they find it entertaining. I just think it's kind of shitty.
Having been on the receiving end of it, it's really scary because you like it's one thing if people are just poking fun and roasting. I get
Yeah,
that. But then they start posting like personal information. It's like, whoa, 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 this is not funny anymore. This is
yeah.
actually creepy.
Right. And to the credit, like there are a lot of people that got involved in the bike cuck thing,
Yeah.
right? Somebody tried to get into my accounts. I think it was like one person, right? No attempt whatsoever at doxing, no death threats of any sort. Nothing actually scary happened there, right?
Okay.
But you're saying they started posting your personal info?
Yeah, some guy, what was it? I guess I was checking Reddit using my phone or something, and I didn't know this, but apparently phones can leave metadata about your phone ID or something.
Okay,
Or maybe they had access, like backdoor access or something. But
okay.
they started posting like my phone's ID number and stuff like my IP address or something like that. Like someone just commented on one of my strips, all this personal information. What the hell is this? I reported it, but at the same time, I'm like, I was getting like PMs saying like, you better stop or we're going to stop you. Um,
What?
Really creepy shit. And I'm like, why? I'm just posting funny comics. Like
That is incredibly fucked up,
it
dude.
was really creepy. And for a while, I'm like, is this actually getting dangerous? I don't know. Cause I thought the comics themselves were not that bad. Like at most I was roasting our comics, the community in general. And I was like basically telling them what they were going to do before they did it to me, and they did it anyway.
Yeah.
And so at most they were like, "Oh, you're arrogant." So I'm like, "Fine, I can be arrogant. I'll play the heel. If this was wrestling, I'll be the bad guy." But
Yeah.
then they started to take
Yeah,
it.
no, I love that. I love that when they were just like, you're arrogant. You were just like, yeah. that was my shit. I love that.
It was funny. Like, I don't mind being Hulk Hogan in WCW. If anyone's read that, like, I'll taunt people. It's funny. But I guess
Yeah.
there are those people that think wrestling is real, and then
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, there's Hulk Hogan. He's eating at a restaurant. I'm going to attack him because he slapped Eric Bischoff or something." You know,
Yeah.
they take it way too seriously. Dude, I'm playing a character. I'm making comics on the internet. We're just having fun. But then they started doing the alt-right thing and like, "Oh, he's alt-right. He's a Nazi. He's X-phobic, Y-phobic." I'm like, bro, you have to give. It was very frustrating because they thought it was real and there was no way I could respond to it. But then, yeah, there was a big difference between we're all just having fun on the internet versus let's actually get this guy. I don't know. Part of, I think, the solution is just putting ourselves out there, or putting myself out there. I can't speak for others, but like being like, no, I am a person with with a complex, mind, and it's not A, B, and C, or it's not black and white. There's more to us than just what you see on the internet.
Of course.
So I don't know. I'm like, it's like my mission of the year. I just want people to get out, like to get to know us as people. We're just creators. We're not like these symbols, and they call us influencers.
Oh yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. Influencers, content.
I
That
hate
type
that word
of
content.
content.
I don't know, man.
Yeah, it's a very like do you know Dark Side Phil, that guy?
I don't.
Oh, he's like a fighting game streamer who's kind of like notoriously salty, right? But his kind of word is content. So that's how he says it. So that's what we're putting out here.
Content is so generic to me.
Content. It's very commercialized, right? It's like inherently commercialized.
It's something that publishers would want you to do. But for
Yeah.
us, I think it's more of a lifestyle thing because we consume it and we love it so much. It's like natural to want to make the thing that you love.
Exactly. Yeah, I think like if this weren't and I've been in that situation before, but I feel like if this weren't my profession, the comics thing, it would be my hobby.
Yeah.
Like I just enjoy it very thoroughly. It's like a very natural form of communicating, right?
Yeah, I mean, in some ways, it's the most ancient. Before even language was invented, the written language, people communicated with pictures.
Hmm.
There's
Yeah,
Go
because
on.
pictures are inherent because they represent reality. Like you don't need to know a certain language to know that like a stick figure looks like a person, right?
No. And even in some ways, it's such a interesting, like you could show a comic to a caveman and they might actually understand the story. It's perfect. It's one of the perfect languages, comics.
Yeah.
I mean, even Scott McCloud in his book Understanding Comics, which I highly recommend to anyone, he talks about how like the hieroglyphics were one of the first comics ever made
Yep.
because it's sequential, right? You have to read them like a comic.
Yep. I would even go as far as like cave paintings, hypothetically.
Oh yeah, what's his name? He's got a funny accent. He did a documentary about the oldest cave paintings in the world.
Hmm.
His name's on the tip of my tongue, but it doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, the oldest cave paintings are just like, hey, it's an animal, and I'm hunting this animal.
Yeah.
And
Relatable.
but the most amazing thing is if you talk about like ancient, really truly ancient disciplines, they had the same tools that we had. They're just using their hand to tell a story throughout. I know it sounds poetic and cheesy, but like throughout the ages, across cultures, I can read manga even though I don't speak Japanese. I'll
Mhm.
still understand the story if it's told
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. Um, yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, there are a lot of especially this has kind of fallen a little bit out of style recently, right? But like throughout, I think 60s and 70s and stuff, right? Wordless comics were pretty popular because it was a lot of like slapstick, like physical humor,
Okay.
right? Which you don't really need words to communicate that, right?
Mm.
And as a result, several of the IPs that came from the United States actually got popular throughout South America, and a little bit vice versa, right? Because it transcended that barrier of
Okay.
language,
Okay.
which is pretty cool.
There's the artist who did a series called The Walking Man. Let me look it up.
The Walking Man.
The Walking Man by Manga. I bring it up because it's a Jiro Taniguchi. It was basically a silent manga where a guy's just walking down the street and he's thinking.
Huh.
And it's very meditative and almost silent also. I think a lot of people these days are looking for, let's say, action stories and stuff, but real lovers of the medium, I think, will appreciate silent comics like that. Because you have to really ask yourself, panel to panel, what's the story? And you're investing your own imagination. It's very engaging.
Yeah. Oh my God, these backgrounds are beautiful. That he draws. Uh, yeah. I think. I mean, I think either like both ways obviously have their place, but I do definitely have an appreciation for stuff that communicates entirely visually, like stuff that's word free.
I don't know. I feel like comics is on the cusp. Like we had a brief time, I think, at the early to mid 2000s where manga was really blowing up. And I like
Oh
manga
yeah,
especially because it covers every genre imaginable.
yeah.
Whereas I think American superhero or American comics are stuck in a couple of genres and they don't like to break out of it. But I really think that the people who grew up with webcomics are open to any kind of genre. I just feel like
Well,
we've got to hit that flashpoint.
I think the people that like a lot of the people that are in web comics now kind of grew up reading a lot of manga,
Yeah.
right? And so they took a lot of those influences into onto the web, right? Um, I mean, print publishing overall, like print publishing is kind of slowly being displaced by a lot of like the bigger online platforms, right? So now you got like Webtoon, you got Comixology, you got Tapas, all of that stuff, and that stuff has a lot of the stuff that has all of these stylistic influences of manga,
Mhm.
but some of it's western, some of it's eastern and translated.
Yeah.
Have you read or heard of My Lesbian Experience with Loneliness?
I did read it. Yeah.
That one was pretty, like, that's probably one of the more interesting manga releases I've seen recently.
It came out of nowhere for me, but I read it and I was interested by how frank it was. I- It
It
was
was
very readable. Go on.
it was so frank. I'm so glad that it was so frank, right? Because if for example I were making something like that, I would have been like extremely self conscious and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But it's just a very honest thing. But yeah, sorry, what were you saying
No,
about
no,
it?
I imagine the creator used a pen name. Most of them do.
Yes,
But
yes.
I really appreciate, like, that's what comics can be, especially alternative and indie comics. They're very, not that everything has to be autobiographical, but they tell some very poignant stories that I don't think we see in, say, comic book shops. A lot of people nowadays are talking about how the comic book shops are really struggling because of the big two. Do you read American comics at all?
I don't read a whole lot of superhero comics. Like once in a blue moon, I picked up like Death of the Family a while back, but even that's kind of old now. Oh, I read Superior Spider-Man for a bit, but that was like on Marvel's online platform. But I understand that you do a bit, right?
I actually don't. I don't read American comics very much. Just like the big and notable ones. But a lot of the people I listen to, like I listen to these radio shows on YouTube
Hmm.
or live streams, that sort of thing. And a lot of them are talking about these days about how the American comics industry is in some deep trouble
Yeah.
because Marvel, especially in DC, are not handling their business very well. A lot of their readers are feeling alienated, and they're sort of altering the stories to the point where the existing readers don't want to read the stories anymore.
Yeah.
And they're pandering to an audience that I don't think exists. And so
Oh,
nobody wants to read these comics anymore. And what I've loved about manga and why I think it's thrived and can thrive again, but American manga as well, is that these stories really reach out to certain demographics and they are about very specific things. Like if I want to read a romance manga, I can find a romance manga. I won't find a comic that is straddling all these different genres to the point where it's like, who is this even for?
right.
It's just poor writing. But I don't know. There are some of us that I've heard of in the manga in American manga industry, let's say, or the webtoons people that are putting out some excellent content, and I'm really glad like to see you and Sarah in the bookstores, especially. I think that's where you've made the big time. That's when the
Can I just say, dude, this is kind of a tangent to this, but like Amazon bookstores are the biggest power move on Amazon's part, because it's like because they were just like, we're not killing bookstores fast enough. You know, we're gonna come to you and we're gonna do a fucking command grab, like fighting game command grab on your ass and like suplex you. You know.
I was very impressed. The one I have near me isn't very big. Barnes and Noble's biggest thing for me was being able to go there with coffee and read a stack of manga for free.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, Barnes and Noble is like my childhood like bookstore. I went to this one near my house, and well, I wouldn't get coffee, but I would get the manga.
Man, is it a thrill to see your own book there?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's not as much of a thrill as I thought it would be. It's just kind of like, oh, yeah, there it is.
Do you ever want to
There it
like
is.
walk up to someone with it and be like, "Hey"?
I had to buy a copy to send to a friend once, because it was prior to when I got my authored copies, and I got like really self-conscious because I was just like, I hope the cashier doesn't notice like the name on the card. Yeah, you know, or
Then they'll
something
know
like
your
that.
credit card number.
Yeah. Um yeah, but yeah, I can see the temptation of that.
Have you done signings and stuff or
Of course.
promotion?
Yeah, well, I do, like, they bring me out to conventions to do signings.
Have you done any interesting conventions between the release date was October, right?
Yeah, yeah. I went to I really like the anime cons that I oh shit, sorry. I really like the anime cons that I go to. Um uh A con, it wasn't released yet, but I had like an exclusive poster for it, right?
All right.
And there was this con I went to more recently called Daisho Con, which was post release.
Mhm.
Um, I think I didn't have the books there either, right? But yeah, that was I should have. I will be at C2E2 with those books, and I was at New York Comic Con with those books, so that was exciting.
Okay. Well, if anyone's listening and you want to get a signed book, you have to approach him. You must get a signed book. It's excellent.
It's true. Thank you, George, for this shining endorsement.
Well,
Yeah,
I mean, everyone's heard of you anyway, but now that you have a book, it's like it's official, you know? This is really happening. It's not just webcomics. I've always felt that once you see your own book in a bookstore, that's like, okay, this is a career now. This is real.
yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, like, it's never. I guess it's never been like the biggest priority for me to like get a book out, since I've always considered myself like a web comic artist, first and foremost. But it's really cool to be able to for people to be able to have something that's like a compilation of the comics, right? And for me to be able to like show something to people immediately without fumbling around on the website. But I mean, you probably like behind your Indiegogo is for problematic is probably the same reasoning, right?
Yeah, I wanted to collect everything in one place. Um, and, you know, I don't know how often I can do, because I'm still indie. You apply to, let's say, Small Press Expo and you get into the lottery. And if you get in, you get in.
Yeah.
But who knows with all this funny business with Reddit, if I'll even be accepted at these tables. But what you basically want to do, if anyone's listening, is if you self-publish, you bring your books, you sell them at a table. Maybe some people recognize you and you do some signatures, that sort of thing. But if you take the route that Andrew took, the publisher will actually, I think they hook it up for you, right? They already have a table and they'll ship the books to the table and all you have to do is show up.
Yeah, pretty much. There are like usually when I'm going to a convention, it's either through Webtoon, or through Go Comics, or through the group that I'm a part of with Sarah Anderson and Brian Gordon and Nick Selleck, which is called Meta Panelists. That's kind of like a group that we use to have greater negotiating power with conventions and have like an economy of scale on merchandise, right? Um,
Fancy.
so yeah, and that's, by the way, like if you're indie,
Mhm.
that's not a half bad idea. Like present yourself to conventions as like a group with some of your friends, right?
Mhm.
They'll accept all of you. They'll have to, right? Or reject all of you. But anyway, you're together. And they often offer you like a better deal overall on stuff if you present yourself as a group, and if you are able to like bring a collective audience to them instead of just like one of you, right?
That's
Um,
fascinating.
yeah, unity is strength in these types of industries. Um, yeah.
Yeah. It's notoriously hard to get a table as a solo artist. You have to be really famous.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, could I just have like 1 minute?
Sure. Be sure to mute yourself and I'll take some questions here.
Sure. Oh,
All right. I'm going to look at the Q&A section here real quick. I hope everyone's having fun. It's it's really I've talked to Andrew let's see, it's been about 4 years that I've known him, and he's such a solid guy and he loves comics so much. It's so much fun to talk to him. Some of my favorite memories are like, well, we've gone to Small Press Expo a couple times together, so we'll go like carpooling and we'll rent a hotel room together, and we'll like not share a bed, of course, but I have slept in the same room as him. It's just a joke. But like it's really cool. Like we'll do the convention thing and we'll just talk about comics all night like a slumber party, and he'll show me all the books he bought. And he's such a solid guy. And of course he's got his book coming out. So I hope everybody or no, his book is already out. I'm sorry. Buff Dudes. Well, I'll ask him again. And I hope everyone who's listening not only reads his stuff, but also if you guys happen to know people in certain groups that I won't name because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but like, let's try to open our arms to as many types of creators as possible. Because I think there are certain people who want to deconstruct comics out there, but people like Andrew, aka Shenanigansen, really love the medium and really want to see it built up. So I hope that we can, I don't know, I'm not going to invite myself to these parties, but I think it would be amazing if more creators got to talk about, just shoot the breeze, talk about comics, talk about what makes us passionate. Everything all right?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem. I think we're about an hour. So like, I'll see, maybe, I don't know if people are getting tired, but an hour is a good length, I think, unless you want to keep going much further.
Yeah, unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
A couple of questions on the list here is asking about future projects, because we talked about your current one that just came out, Buff Dudes. What was the full title?
Emotions Explained with Buff Dudes.
Okay. And everybody's seen these Buff Dudes. I'm going to have to show off that illustration you did for me of the Buff Dudes beating up Shen.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you have that in your room, right?
You drew that for me in the lobby of the hotel.
Yeah.
And I have it hanging in my room. It's one of my treasures. I have to show that off and make everyone jealous.
I have your skeleton, like right behind me. That skeleton you gave me, I still have that.
If anyone's wondering, I do these little figurines, and I gave him a skeleton in exchange.
George, do you know how many times that skeleton has been across the country, has driven across the country? 4 times. 4 times across the country, long ways, dude.
It's like the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants, but a skeleton.
Yeah, dude. It's just in the little, like, not the cup holder, but the thing on the side of my
Oh
car.
my gosh.
It just lived there for a while, and now
What
it's in
an
my room.
honor. Oh my goodness. I got to tell you guys, if you can get art from your favorite artists, like that's one of the most valuable treasures you can get in your whole life. Just hang it up. Keep it with you at all times. It's so wonderful to get an original piece from somebody that you admire. The quote, "I have your skeleton."
Oh yeah, yeah,
You have my skeleton in your closet.
yeah. I can see now why that sounds that way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Um, all right, so all right, so everyone knows about his book. I expect everyone to at least check it out. You know his work, but also I want to ask about what you're up to this year. Do you have any plans career-wise? What's the next move?
Well, I'm still just sort of getting back on my feet, you know.
Okay.
I wanna do a continuation of that yo-yo. I don't know if you saw that yo-yo comic. That's kind of
Oh,
like it has like some cute animal type characters and then this horrible creature named Yo-Yo, who's just treated for all respects and purposes for as one of the characters, right?
hmm.
I want to do a continuation of those comics, which is actually sort of a secret remake of an earlier series I did, which I wasn't like good enough at comics to do yet at the
Okay.
time. Yeah, so that's something that I'm planning to do. Aside from that, yeah, just keep an eye on like Blue Chair and Live with Yourself, and you know,
I'm looking at Yo-Yo right now. That's really funny and
yeah,
creepy.
yeah.
Is
Thank
that
you.
what you meant with the horror comics? Are you going to try to blend those?
Well, it's that, and you know, I did one earlier called Brain Mechanic, and this other one called Flower Robot, which it isn't so much horror. I guess you could classify it as body horror a little bit,
Mhm.
but it's just sort of a genre that I'm experimenting in with my semi limited art capabilities. You know, I gotta push it for these.
Man, they're so impressive to look at. It's and you're still I don't want to, sound condescending or patronizing, but you're still relatively young. So it's really cool to watch your development over the years. Like you
Thank you.
started out when you were still in college, right?
Yes.
Would you be willing to say how long you've been since your debut?
Oh, that was in like February of 2013.
All right.
So
So
like
about
6 years.
6 years.
Yeah.
And you started in college. So that's a good, if you guys follow Shen at all, like his progress, like that's very encouraging.
I
If you
mean,
guys want to start, go on. Sorry.
didn't you start like hella or like in high school even?
Well, I was drawing comics since middle school, but I
Yeah.
published Artist Block was my first one that I published, and I started that when I was 18. So I was a
Yeah.
freshman in college.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's a great time. You have, younger people, you have a lot of time on your hands, you have a lot of passion, you're probably watching a lot of anime, and you just have to have something that you need to make. And nowadays it's so easy to just jump on one of the platforms and start publishing your stuff.
Right. Yeah. There's a world of possibilities. I don't even know where to tell you to go. Like you like there are so many routes to go. You could go Instagram, Twitter, Webtoon, Tapas, you know, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. And why not do all of them? Because none of them have exclusivity, at least unless you get featured. So
Yes.
publish your stuff on all these platforms. Get as many readers as you can. That's the biggest piece of advice I would have for a younger person, which I didn't catch on until like a couple of years ago. You have to
Yeah.
network, network, network like crazy. You can be a good artist, but unless you know people and people know you, it's going to be really hard to get a full-time or even part-time gig doing this.
Yeah, when I found your work at first, it pissed me off how little you were networking, dude. Like I was just like, God damn!
I was
Like
shy.
these should be out there, you know?
I know. I know I'm trying now, but we'll see. Who knows? Maybe this year will be the year of networking. Everybody might get to know each other some better, and we can use YouTube as what we're doing right now. I would love to invite other artists and have other artists talk to each other. I don't even need to be involved, but like I want more people to just talk to each other. I think that's one of the biggest next steps of like discovering talent and just getting everyone to know each other better. Because we all live across the country from each other. Everyone's all spread out across the world even. But we all share this love of comics.
Yeah, it's a very like unifying thing,
I
you
hope
know,
so.
people uniting thing.
It would be it would be very comforting to me because if you go to a convention, I guess we can end. I'll end on this. You could say whatever you want, but I think the kind of talks and convention, post-convention conversations that people have over drinks or dinner or something, those are some of the funnest parts of going to a convention. Being at a table is pretty boring, but getting to know fellow creators and just talk about your favorite comics is one of the best things any comics artist can do, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I totally agree. Even like that like very much differs from you know how when you oh well have you been on a panel? At a
I have. It's been a long time, but that's a lot of fun.
Yeah, but I feel like those like more informal type things, like when you go to bars and stuff, that's even like very substantially different from like a panel, like talking to each other on a panel, obviously, because it's not like a public display, right?
Yeah, it's not like a performance.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, this is fairly chill, I would say.
yeah,
I don't know. Like I'm trying to look at like what people are saying, but I'm not like focused on the chat room or anything.
yeah.
I want this to feel very natural and just get people to get to know us. But that's my goal for this year. I just want, after all the drama and stuff that's happened, especially with yourself and some to a lesser extent what happened to me, I just want people to have a little, you know, not respect exactly, but like, do you know what I mean? Like, I want people to be more mellow and not be so nasty to comics creators.
Right.
Just, you know, let us make happy, fun, maybe even spicy comics, and it's not going to hurt anybody. Just we'll have our fun, and if you don't like it, you don't have to read it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I should
yeah.
give you feel free to say whatever. I feel like I'm talking too much.
Let's not be nasty. Let's not be rude. No rude boys.
No,
No rude boys in comics. Do you know the origin of the term rude boy?
rude boy. I'm not
Yeah.
sure.
Do you know what the term rude boy is?
I probably not. Not in the
A,
context.
a rude boy is like a fan of ska, and usually they're identified by this like checkered clothing that they wear and this weird like fedora type thing, right? I don't I'm not a ska guy, but I did some ska research, okay?
Okay.
But yeah, a rude boy. I was wondering why they were called that. It turns out that in wherever ska is originated from, I think it might be like Jamaica or something, right?
Okay.
Whenever ska is originated from, there would be like competing DJs, and they would hire people to go to the other DJs shows and like fuck it up and get into fights and stuff, right? And that's why they're called rude boys, because they're there to be rude, and they're there to do their skanking dance, which is just like they stomp around.
Wow, that's surprisingly accurate to what's happening in comics. I feel like
Yeah,
there's always
let's
people
not be
taking
rude boys.
shots. Wow. Um, man, that's something to think about. So again, I just want everyone to know, like, are you what cons are you doing? Again, you said C2E2. Where's that?
That's in Chicago, I think.
Chicago.
Yeah, C2. I'm there partially representing Padabot's work. She makes a comic called BFGF on
Okay.
Tapas. And partially my own. And also Pigeoneer Jane will be there. She makes the Pigeon Gazette and Genji Cat and you know those comics.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys, if you are on Twitter, what's your handle?
It's like shenanigans with an EN at the end at
Okay.
Shenanigansen.
So I hope all you guys give him a follow and read all of his stuff. I know you'll love it if you've heard of me. he's like nuclear me. He's he's very famous, and he deserves all of it. I'm not gonna kiss your butt. I'm sorry. I'm just so exciting. I like talking about comics. But anyway, you guys should follow him. Spread this around if you liked it. And I hope you guys say hi to him if you see him at a convention, buy his book. And I hope that we can do this again sometime.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd totally be down to hop on again with you. This like a fun convo.
I like this. I want this to be a thing. So if any of you guys know other artists who might want to talk to me, get me in touch with them. Let's do that. And I hope you guys have a great weekend, and we'll talk again soon. I'll just stop broadcasting, Shen, and then I'll just say bye to you.
All right.
All right. So bye, everyone. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you had fun.